My grandkids, Ellie and Jack, called me the babysitter instead of grandma during a FaceTime call last week, giggling like it was a game, while my daughter, Sarah, laughed it off, not knowing I'd just overheard her husband plotting to move them all across the country to keep me out of their lives. At 62, I'd spent a decade pouring my heart into those kids. Baking cookies, sewing costumes, rocking them to sleep, only to sit there, phone trembling in my hand, realizing my son-in-law, Matt, had turned me into a hired hand in their eyes, all because I'd gotten too close to a secret he couldn't hide. Sarah didn't even blink, just said, "Oh, Mom, it's just a nickname," while I choked back tears, knowing it was so much more. It's a golden October afternoon in 2012, leaves crunching underfoot, and I'm standing in a sterile hospital room, my hands trembling with joy as I cradle my first grandchild, Ellie, her tiny fingers curling around mine. Sarah, my only child, then 27, lies propped up in the bed, her chestnut hair sweaty and tangled, a tired smile lighting her face. The same smile I'd kissed goodnight for years. Matt, her husband of 3 years, looms beside her, a broad-shouldered sales rep with a salesman's grin that could charm a snake. His handshake firm as he vows, "I'll take care of our girls, Diane. You'll see." I liked him right off. Steady, warm, the kind of guy who'd show up with a ladder if your roof leaked. They'd met in college, a whirlwind romance of late-night study sessions and cheap pizza, tied the knot in '09 under a rented tent with mismatched chairs, and I'd beamed, thinking, my girls found her anchor. They settled fast, snagged a little ranch house in 2010, just 10 minutes from my place, a widow's cottage I'd clung to since my husband Bill passed in 2007. Its white picket fence a quiet comfort. Jack came in 15, another squalling bundle of chaos, and I threw myself into being grandma with everything I had. Baking sugar cookies shaped like hearts and stars, sewing Halloween costumes, Ellie as a glittering fairy with tulle wings, Jack as a pirate with a felt eye patch, rocking them to sleep with lullabies Bill used to croon, his old guitar still leaning in my living room corner. We weren't rich. My pension from 25 years teaching kindergarten stretched thin as onion skin, but we were family, woven tight with sticky fingerprints, bedtime giggles, and the kind of love that fills a house to the rafters. For a decade, I was their rock, or so I thought. I'd drive over in my rattling Toyota, arms full of cookie tins and storybooks, ready to chase the twins around their cluttered living room, while Sarah graded papers and Matt regaled us with tales of sales triumphs over my meatloaf. His favorite, thick with gravy, the recipe I'd perfected just for him. "Diane, you're a wizard. This beats any diner," he'd say, fork waving, and I'd glow, feeling needed, loved. Sundays were ours, pot roast simmering, the twins sprawled on my rug with crayons, Matt carving the meat like a king at the head of my scratched formica table. Christmas Eves, we'd crowd around my thrift store piano, banging out jingle bells off-key, the kids' voices shrill and sweet, Matt's baritone rumbling through. I wasn't just grandma. I was the glue, the heartbeat, the one they ran to with gap-toothed grins and skinned knees. Or so I believed, pouring my widow's heart into every stitch, every crumb, every hug. The first whisper of trouble crept in about 2 years ago, soft as a shadow on a summer dusk. It was late August, the air thick with humidity and cricket song, and Matt started to fade. He'd always been a talker, spinning big yarns about landing a tough client, outsmarting a competitor, or the twins' latest chaos, his voice booming over my kitchen table as he dug into his plate. But that summer, he went quiet, eerily so. He'd roll in for visits, his tie loosened like a noose, and slump onto Bill's old plaid couch, the one I'd reupholstered after his passing, eyes locked on his phone, fingers tapping like he was decoding a cipher. "Rough week on the road?" I'd ask, pouring his tea. Sweet, iced, just how he liked it, the pitcher sweating on my counter, the clink of ice a familiar rhythm. "Yeah," he'd grunt, barely lifting his head, his voice flat as a dial tone, his broad shoulders hunched like he carried a weight I couldn't see. I chalked it up to the grind. 38's no picnic, juggling a sales job, a wife who teaches 5th grade, and 2 kids who never sit still. But a prickle ran up my spine, cold and sharp, like a warning I couldn't name. Then the distance stretched, slow but relentless, like a thread unraveling from a sweater you can't stop picking at. Matt started dodging my calls, our weekly check-ins with the twins, where Ellie'd babble about school and Jack'd show me his toy trucks, dwindled to monthly, then rare as a blue moon. "Swamped with clients," he'd text Sarah, who'd relay it to me over coffee, her voice tinged with a sigh she tried to hide. He'd skip our traditions. Thanksgiving at my place, where I'd spend all day basting a turkey, the house thick with sage and butter, and he'd carve it, grinning like a king. Christmas Eve, where we'd gather around that wobbly piano, the kids' voices piercing the air, Matt's laugh rumbling through silent night. "Work's brutal," he'd say through Sarah, and I'd hear the twins in the background, Ellie's voice piping, "Where's Grandma? I miss her cookies." I'd send batches, chocolate chip, their favorite, packed in Tupperware with a note. But Matt'd brush it off when I asked Sarah, "Too much sugar, Diane. Gotta watch their teeth." His voice through her sounded clipped, dismissive, and I'd swallow the hurt, baking more, hoping it was just a phase. After 10 years of diaper bags and bedtime stories, you don't suspect over a missed holiday. You worry, you wait, you pray, it's nothing. By last spring, the shift hit harder, raw and jagged as a broken branch. It was April, the dogwoods blooming pink outside my kitchen window, their petals drifting like confetti, when Jack's 5th birthday rolled around. I'd spent days crafting a pirate ship cake. Chocolate layers, candy sails, a little plastic Jack Sparrow perched on top. While Sarah strung streamers in their cramped backyard, her hands trembling from exhaustion. Matt texted at noon, "Stuck in a meeting, sorry buddy." Sarah shrugged it off. "He's swamped, Mom. You know how it is." But I saw the strain in her eyes, the way her smile cracked as she lit the candles alone, Jack blowing them out with a wish I couldn't hear. That night, dropping off a Tupperware of leftovers, meatloaf scraps and mashed potatoes, I spotted his black SUV parked outside Rusty's bar off Route 9, 8 p.m. sharp, the neon sign buzzing red over the gravel lot. My hands tightened on the wheel, heart sinking into my boots, swamped, my foot. He was there, drinking, laughing through the smudged window with a crowd I didn't know, while Jack hugged the teddy bear I'd sewn him, its button eyes wobbling from overuse. I gripped the steering wheel, tears stinging, but kept my mouth shut. Family first, right? I didn't want to shatter Sarah's world over a barstool hunch. Then came the kids' words, small but piercing, like a splinter you can't dig out. It was a Sunday in June, the air sticky with summer heat, when Ellie called me from Sarah's phone, her voice bubbling over the line. "Hey, babysitter, when you coming over?" I laughed, thinking it was a game. 6-year-olds dream up wild things. But Jack piped in, "Yeah, babysitter, bring cookies. We're hungry." My chest tightened, picturing their gap-toothed grins, Ellie's freckles like Sarah's, Jack's mop of curls like Bill's. "Babysitter?" I teased, forcing a chuckle despite the ache clawing up my throat. "That's what Daddy calls you." Ellie giggled, and Sarah grabbed the phone, her laugh light but frayed. "Oh, Mom, it's just a silly nickname. Matt says you're our go-to helper, always saving the day." Helper, not Grandma. The word landed like a stone, heavy and cold, and I stood there in my kitchen, the scent of cooling oatmeal raisin cookies filling the air, my hands trembling as I gripped the counter. 10 years of rocking them, singing them to sleep, and I'd been demoted to a job title in their little hearts. Matt's doing, I could feel it. I baked more, sent the batch over, but the sting burrowed deep, a wound I couldn't bandage. The real bomb exploded last month, a humid September night that still echoes in my bones. I was at their place, Sarah at a PTA meeting, Matt working late. The twins tucked in upstairs, their soft snores drifting down like a lullaby. I'd just finished tidying, a plate of fresh sugar cookies cooling on the counter, their sweet scent mixing with the tang of pine sol, when Matt slipped in at 10 p.m., phone pressed to his ear, his voice low and urgent through the screen door. I froze in the kitchen, unseen, my dishcloth dripping suds onto the linoleum as his words cut through the quiet. "Yeah, babe, 3 weeks, tops. Tickets are booked. West Coast, fresh start. Diane's too nosy, always poking around. Once we're gone, she's out of the picture." My heart stopped. West Coast? Tickets? Out of the picture? I crept closer, barefoot and breathless, the cold tile biting my soles, and caught more. "Sarah's clueless. Don't worry, I've got the cash lined up, $80,000 ready. She'll never know till it's done." The words slammed into me like a fist, each one a nail through 10 years of trust. My girl, my grandkids, stolen in a whisper. He hung up, whistling, "Sweet Caroline," like a man without a care, and I stepped out from the shadows, voice shaking like a leaf in a storm. "Who's babe, Matt?" "What's this about moving?" His face went white as a sheet, eyes bugging out like a deer in headlights. Then he laughed, too loud, too sharp, a sound that grated like nails on a chalkboard. "Eavesdropping, Diane? That's low. Just a client, relocation deal for work. You're paranoid, old lady." But his hands shook as he shoved his phone in his pocket, his ears blazing red. His tell since the day he shook my hand at their wedding. 10 years with my family, and you're lying to my face?" I snapped, stepping closer, the dishcloth dripping onto my slippers, cookie crumbs crunching underfoot like tiny accusations. He threw up his hands, voice rising to a growl. "Back off, Diane. You're not the damn boss here. Stay out of my business." He stormed upstairs, his boots thudding like thunder, leaving me in the kitchen with the twins' snores and a gut that sank to the floor. 10 years of lullabies, cookies, and love, and he was plotting to rip them away from me, to erase me from their lives like I was nothing. The weeks after were a slow, suffocating spiral, a fog I couldn't shake. Matt pulled back hard, dodged my calls, canceled playdates I'd planned with the twins, barely grunted when I dropped off a quilt I'd sewn for Ellie's bed, its fairy patches glowing with every stitch of my heart. Sarah noticed too, dark circles bruising her eyes, her laugh gone brittle as old leaves. "He's stressed, Mom. Big promotion coming," she'd say over tea at my table, her hands twisting her mug like it was a lifeline, the steam curling up between us. I tried warning her, soft, tiptoeing, my voice low over the clink of spoons. "Honey, Matt's hiding something. That call I heard." She cut me off, voice sharp as a knife. "He's fine, Mom. Don't meddle, please. I can't handle more right now." But I saw the fear in her eyes, the way she'd glance at his empty chair like it was haunted, and it broke me. My girl fading under his shadow, and me powerless to pull her out. I kept showing up, babysitting, baking, watching, his phone buzzing at odd hours, his excuses piling like dirty dishes. "Client dinner, late pitch, quick trip." The twins started asking, "Where's Daddy?" And Sarah's answers shrank, her smile a ghost. Then came that FaceTime call, October 10th, a crisp Thursday that carved a hole in my chest. I dialed Sarah to check on Jack's cough, my phone propped on my counter next to a batch of cooling peanut butter cookies, when Ellie's face popped up, freckles dancing as she giggled. "Hi, Babysitter. When you coming over?" Jack shoved in, his curls bouncing. "Yeah, Babysitter. Bring cookies. We miss 'em." My heart stopped, the word slicing through me like a blade. Babysitter, not Grandma. I forced a laugh, throat tight. "Babysitter? What's that about, sillies?" Ellie chirped. "That's what Daddy calls you? He says you're the best helper." Sarah grabbed the phone, her chuckle light but frayed at the edges. "Oh, Mom, it's just a nickname. Matt says you're our go-to, always saving us. Cute, right?" Cute. No, it was a gut punch, a demotion scripted by Matt, and I'd heard his plan in that kitchen. It wasn't a game, it was erasure, a slow fade of Grandma into something disposable. I choked back tears, nodding on the screen. "Sure, hun." But the phone trembled in my hand, the cookie scent turning sour in my nose. Then came the twist that flipped the script, bright and fierce as a lightning strike. A week later, my old neighbor Pat, a realtor with a nose for gossip, called at dawn, her voice hushed over the line like she was spilling state secrets. "Diane, saw Matt at the office yesterday. He's selling the house, listed it quiet like, $350,000, West Coast buyer lined up, closing in 3 weeks. But here's the kicker, your name's on the deed. Bill left it to Sarah, tied you in as co-owner when he bought it for her. Worth $400,000 now with the market boom, and he can't close without your signature. Sarah's too." I laughed, wild, ragged, a sound that bounced off my kitchen walls, rattling the teapot on the stove. "You're sure?" I pressed, gripping the phone till my knuckles ached, my coffee going cold on the counter. "Dead sure," Pat said, a grin creeping into her voice. "He's stuck. Thought he'd slipped it past you both." I hung up, fire surging through me like a wildfire. Matt had planned to vanish with my family, to strip me from their lives, but I held the lock and key. I called Sarah that night, voice steady as granite, though my hands shook as I dialed. "He's moving you, hun. West Coast, tickets booked. I've got proof. We're stopping this." I dragged Sarah to a lawyer the next morning. Ellen, a divorce ace with a reputation for shredding cheats. Her office a fortress of files and fury, the air thick with coffee and determination. Sarah sat beside me, pale and trembling, still clutching her mug from home as Ellen dug in like a bloodhound. The dirt poured out in a flood. Matt had been siphoning Sarah's savings, $80,000 over 2 years, pulled from the account Bill left her, funneled to Holly, a sales rep from his firm, 35, all flash and ambition, with a rap sheet of broken homes and a taste for married men's dreams. He'd booked plane tickets, Portland, Oregon, using Sarah's debit card. planning to ditch her and the twins once Holly was set up in a cushy condo. His fresh start built on lies. Receipts spilled from Ellen's printer. Dinners, gifts, a $5,000 deposit on a West Coast lease. While Sarah stared, tears pooling, whispering, "How didn't I see?" Ellen froze the house sale with a court order faster than you can say cheating bastard, filed for Sarah's divorce, and locked the title in our names. Mine and Sarah's, a double shield of steel. Matt didn't see it coming. Thought he'd buried me with that babysitter label. Thought he'd silenced me with his smug little plan. He showed up that night, pounding on Sarah's door while I was there. The twins asleep upstairs, their pirate and fairy quilts tucked around them. "Diane, open this damn door. You can't stop my sale!" He roared, his voice rattling the windows, his fists banging like a drumbeat of desperation. I stepped onto the porch, apron still tied from baking. Sugar cookies, the twins' favorite, cool as ice despite the crumbs dusting my hands, the night air sharp against my skin. "Our house, Matt. $350,000 you can't touch without me and Sarah signing off. Tell Holly to enjoy her West Coast fantasy. It's dead in the water." His jaw dropped, face twisting like a storm cloud, veins bulging in his neck. "You're ruining me, you meddling old hag," he bellowed, fists clenched so tight I thought he'd swing. "You ruined them!" I shot back, stepping closer, voice low and lethal, my eyes locked on his. "Who's babe, Matt? Who's worth stealing my grandkids for?" He stammered, sweat beading on his forehead, his salesman's grin gone sour. "Just nobody. A friend." Lies. His ears blazed red. His eyes darted like a trapped animal's, and I knew I'd hit the bone. I held my ground, unflinching, till he backed off, cursing under his breath as he peeled out in that black SUV, tires spitting gravel like a tantrum. Sarah came home an hour later, the twins clinging to her legs, their sleepy eyes blinking up at me, and I told her everything. Pat's call, Ellen's moves, Matt's meltdown on the porch. She sank into a chair, tears streaming down her face, but her jaw set hard as she nodded. "I'm done, Mom. He's gone. I can't believe he'd take them from you." The next week, word spread through town like wildfire. Holly was his road fling, a co-worker with a taste for cash and chaos, chasing Matt's wallet till it ran dry. Sarah sold the ranch house, every lie of his boxed up and hauled away, and moved into a cozy duplex 2 blocks from me, cash from her half-tucked safe in a new account. We took the twins to the zoo with the leftovers, lions roaring, ice cream dripping, their giggles healing the cracks Matt left behind. Matt? Last I heard, he's stuck with a lease he can't pay in Portland. Holly bolted when the plan sank, and he's crashing on a buddy's couch, whining about unfairness to anyone who'll listen. It hurt. 10 years of grandma don't dissolve without a fight. I'd poured my widow's heart into those kids, baked their cookies, sown their dreams, only to hear Babysitter echo from their lips, a title Matt scripted to erase me. Those late-night whispers, that smug plan, they cut deep, a scar I'll carry. But I wasn't the babysitter, some disposable stand-in he could toss aside. I was Diane, 62 and fierce, sipping tea on my porch with Sarah beside me, her hand in mine, the twins' laughter drifting from the yard. He thought he'd rewrite me out of their lives, but I wrote the ending, for us, for them, reclaiming Grandma with every step, every fight, every ounce of love I had left. And when the dust settled, I stood taller than ever, a grandmother with a heart too big to break and a will too strong to bend. So here I am, months later, watching the kids play from my porch, wondering what's next. Matt's out there, maybe broke, maybe plotting. Holly a ghost. Sarah's healing, the twins thriving, and I'm proud. But some nights, I wonder, did I save them or just outlast him? Could he crawl back, begging forgiveness? And if he did, would I let him near or shut him out? I don't know yet, and maybe that's okay. What do you think? Should a woman like me ever soften? Or is this where I keep standing as grandma, no regrets? Tell me your take.